Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter, folks. Uncle Dave, we had some great games last night. College basketball landscape with Duke and Florida, Kentucky, North Carolina, Connecticut, and Kansas. What were some of the things that stood out to you in last night's slate of excellent games?
Yeah, now before even the SEC ACC challenge, both leagues were basically like 6-6 versus each other this year. So I don't want to hear any more this year about the SEC being this dominant thing. So even
Plus
before this challenge started,
Syracuse beating Tennessee last night as well.
exactly, and the ACC is up 7-3 right now in the challenge. So, and I'm sure tonight they'll lose a couple of bad matchups. BC is just a given they're going to lose. So it might be even, but so the leagues have been even so far. And plus the SEC doesn't have that great team this year. Uh, the best team out of both those conferences is Duke right now. It's not even close. Arkansas is not. Yeah, Duke's beaten three SEC teams by themselves. So I don't want to hear about SEC dominance this year. So I just like to stick that up someone's ass if they have any problems with that because it's all bullshit. But so that little mystery run is over. But yeah, some great games. Duke, some really bad hedging at the end of the game to give up the lead. But Boozer is, I can't think of a comparison player wise for Boozer. He's a better scorer than Flag is in college. Much better scorer.
He reminds me a lot of Pablo Banchero. He's like that type of
Yeah.
player.
He's just so strong and his footwork is amazing. And he doesn't look quick, but he's
He
one of those
doesn't
guys.
he doesn't rush though, and when he bumps into you, he knocks you back.
Yeah, he's a freak. I tell you, he's a better scorer than Flag. In a lot of ways, he's a better finisher than Flag. Flag does other
Oh,
things.
the post game he has is way superior.
I tell you what, I would love to see the Mavericks win the lotto and take him.
Well, right now the Clippers are handing the Thunder basically whoever they want in the draft. It seems like so. I mean,
Oh,
that's gonna be
man,
we're gonna be
no.
close to that. Cutting
Well,
it close
speaking
to
of
that
Flag,
happening.
Mr. Flag has stepped up in his last couple of games. Mr. Flag is all of a sudden
Yeah,
putting up big numbers, and
yeah, he's gonna be a
uh,
great player. I think.
Anthony Davis is back, and so that's good to see. Anthony Davis is back, and I see this business with Chris Paul today. I was thinking to myself, you know, I don't know. I feel like Chris Paul would do well to go to the Mavericks. I know
I
he's getting
think that
hurt.
would be a good fit too. I think because you can get him right now for nothing, and
Yeah,
you
go
have him
to the
with
Mavericks.
you. I think he could give that team some direction there. So I think that's a great idea.
People forget as good as the West is, the bottom of the playoff spot, the Mavericks would be in basically. So I know you don't care about the 10 seed, but at the same time, you're still missing D'Li, you're missing Gabbard, and you're missing Davis for most, and you have no point guard, and you're still in that playoff
Yeah, you
spot.
still have a shot. Absolutely. It's the season's. I mean, until Christmas starts, people say NBA season doesn't start till Christmas. Now, I think that's
Yeah,
a little bit over
sure,
exaggerated. I think you can't get out of the gate that badly, but
right,
you can salvage your season in the position the Mavericks are in. It's not like they're playing themselves out of it or anything like that. It's not like it's the
absolutely,
situation where it's the Nets or the Pacers. Yeah,
right. Yeah, the Nets and the Pacers and the Wizards are already
yeah,
done.
yeah. It's already a done deal. Yeah.
It's a different story, but yeah, so it's interesting stuff though because Flag is starting to step his game up, and you can see it. The Knicks continue to struggle on the road. There's been just the college game and the pro game right now, both pretty exciting. I'm just disappointed a lot of the guys sitting out. But the ACC, Carolina looks good. I don't think Kentucky is great. I don't think Carolina is great. Louisville right now is just playing like in fantasy land versus Arkansas to getting their ass kicked. You
Yeah,
can't
that
imagine. You can't imagine
that's a
Louisville
great win
playing a
for
worse game.
John Calipari there. Yeah, I mean they're just getting their doors blown off right now.
Yeah, it must be just a bad night because they got guys who hit like 4 or 5 threes a game
Yeah,
missing
I think
shots.
they started 4 of 17 from three, so that could do it
Yeah,
for
so it's just a bad night for them. But
who looked great
uh,
last night was Michigan State. They really impressed me. I think
yeah,
Iowa was a really solid team, so for them to beat them by 19, I
yeah,
think was pretty impressive.
yeah. It's crazy that the Big Ten starts their league season already last night. It's just it's unfortunate. We do the same thing in high school. I start mine on Monday. It's just way too rushed. Um, and at the same time, it's not good. You don't get the best quality. You used to be able to build your team and before you had to make a push for a playoff spot. Now they rush you to make a push for the playoff spot when you haven't even built your team. So yeah, Iowa's a good team, but Michigan State has looked good. Michigan's looked really good. Right now, Michigan had that great run over last weekend where it's one of the best runs in the history of 3-day tournaments. A lot of good basketball out there though right now. So, and the college game is alive and well right now. It's It's a good time of year. So if you look at the scores from tonight, I mean, there's some lower level teams that are already playing well. You see, Minnesota's up on Indiana right now, so there's some big games tonight, some Big Ten games and things of that nature. You know, UNC Wilmington and Marshall is a good game. Actually, two very good programs over the years. Hofstra's off to a good start this year, and Columbia is 7-1. I can't remember the last time Columbia was 7-1. Good to see that. So Stony Brook's off to a good start. I always root for the Brook. Alabama and Tennessee, right? Alabama and Clemson right now are in a close game. And I think Alabama might be the best team in that league on the SEC, but I mean, I have no
They
proof.
really they
But
really jumped on Clemson's ass early in the game. It's kind of leveled out now, but yeah,
yeah, it's leveled out. I'm surprised Clemson could hang around. I thought Clemson would take a big drop off this year. It's a credit to
yep.
Brad Brownell and his staff. I mean, they really lost so much last year. I mean, they lost just the essence of everything. And NC State's got to make a little statement tonight. They got to stand up a little bit here. They've had some strange games here. Georgia Tech, Mississippi State should be interesting. So it's a good night of basketball. It really is.
I gotta say, I just gotta point this out. Last night watching the Duke and Florida game, the flagrant one that's called on Condon,
Oh my God.
that is an absolute crime that was
Yep.
called a flagrant.
The kid has his
I,
arm and
I
yanks it.
forget exactly. I forget who was in there. I'm not sure if it was Harris or Foster. But when you have your hand on the ball and the guy jerks his hand with the ball, your arm goes with it. I don't know what the hell the
Yeah, it
ref
was Brown. Brown had his hand in there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
disgusting.
what the hell are they doing with that? I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And the fact that
And then,
they looked at that and then called it still a flagrant, I'm like, that's
yeah.
insane.
And then today, the Florida coach is banging on calls. I'm like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. You
Yeah,
guys,
I don't know how you could say when that was
you guys handled a pick and pop with the best shooter in the country, Evans, and you forgot him. That's why you lost
yeah,
the game.
right,
You did a
right.
pick and pop. Now Evans didn't do crap all night, and that's gonna be the formula for beating Duke. Duke is weak at the point. You could see it. Young Boozer needs to play more than the veteran point guard there, who's shaky with the ball at best. And when Evans is off, that's the formula. When Evans is not hitting, Boozers can't be Superman every night. So when Evans isn't hitting, they're not getting anything out of Sarr yet. It's been a real struggle for them in that respect. They should be better than this, but they're not right now. So what are you gonna? What can we say?
I will
But
say that you had Boozer hit an absolutely clutch three on the right wing when the game was tied at 59.
yeah.
I mean, that's a clutch shot right there at home,
Oh
right
God,
there.
yeah,
Unbelievable. And then
yeah,
Boogie Flan, like he got a layup to make it a 62-61 game. And Boozer, I mean, the finish he had to put Duke back up by one with the left hand on that drive there. I mean,
sure.
what I like about him is I feel like he doesn't force threes. He's a
No,
guy, I think he plays very, very methodically. He's someone who's not, doesn't look ever rushed, doesn't settle for shots. I think he
yeah,
could
well,
be a really terrific player. I think, and obviously, he's coached up well. His father was an excellent player in college, and he
yeah.
was a solid pro. So I'm not surprised.
The funny thing is, the kid who's really stepped up the most is the center for Duke. This kid is not the same player he was last year. Although
Yeah,
last night he had two of the biggest mistakes that almost cost Duke the game. He settles for a three with about 15 on the shot clock versus zone, and then doesn't hedge and gives Boogie Fland an open three. It's
right.
the worst hedge I've ever seen in my life. But at the same time, he's a beast. I mean, he's one of the keys to Duke's team. But Duke not as deep this year as they have been in the past, and you can see
Yes.
it.
Yep. I agree with you though. I think the other Boozer has to play
Has
more.
to play more.
Yeah.
He's very solid. Has to play more. I know you
I
want
don't
to
know.
give
I
it
don't know
to
what Coach Shire's thinking there. I would throw his ass out there way more.
yeah.
He played only 9 minutes last night. You got to get him
Yeah,
more.
I know you want to give it to your junior, but he is very shaky with the ball. Not a good decision maker. I mean, a good shooter, but Boozer is very steady. Doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah. Caden's got to get more minutes for sure.
that's a little hole in their game right there. And like I said, Evans last night was the most off balance shooter of all time. He got about 5 good looks, and for some reason, he just felt like kicking his body out, so he was almost parallel in midair. It was disgusting. Like, what are you doing, dude? You can't just kick your legs out like for show. Like, you gotta stay square in the air and hit a shot. I mean, his legs were about. He almost looked like Charlie Brown after trying to kick the football. His legs were about totally in front of his body. He was so off balance. I'm like, dude, it's not
Yeah.
about the style. Hit the damn shots. And a guy who shoots like that, he didn't do crap all night till that last moment. He got a backdoor cut, and he made that big three. But that was it.
Yeah. Who really was impressive too last night was Thomas Howe. I mean, he was a role player
Oh, God.
last year on Florida, and he just seems like he's taken his game to another level. I mean, to go
Yeah.
to Cameron and have 24 points, 9 of 15 shooting is damn impressive. So
I
I think
think
Florida is definitely a solid, even though they lost last night. Still think they're going to be obviously a major player in this Steers tournament.
sure. And I think the kid from Princeton's going to be fine in the end. You could just tell the physicality
Yeah,
bothered him
Lee.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Right? He's
right,
arguing,
right. He was one of
arguing
10.
for
He was
calls.
one of 10 last night. Yeah.
Yeah, he was arguing for calls every time. But the mistake he made was he tried to go too deep instead of taking that 8-footer right inside the foul line there and
Right.
pulling up.
Yeah.
Try to get deep. Just pull
He,
up and shoot an 8-footer. Just
exactly. Right. Right. You can't go in with the trees in there. Get your
no, you're
shot
gonna
blocked.
eat it. I mean, he's too skinny right now. He's got to change his body. It's just it's not that easy. And all of a sudden you're getting your ass kicked, and it's just one of those things. He's a guy that I think has a good feel for it, and I think on most nights he'll be all right. But not last night. He's in there with the big boys.
Who I think had a great win last night was UConn to go into Kansas there and win that game. I mean, Caravan had some incredible moments in that game. Danny Hurley was getting "fuck you" chants in Kansas of all places. So how about that? And he had a laugh about that.
I love Danny Hurley, and
That
I hate
shows you
UConn, but I love him.
he embraces the hate though. That's what I love about him.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I love.
I don't think he's hateable. I think he's just an animated guy who's just passionate.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like I said, I hate UConn, but I love Danny Hurley.
Right.
He's one of those guys that's totally love him. I think he's the perfect villain. And college basketball needs characters, and they got one.
How about Mullins, Uncle Dave, off the bench there and went 6 of 12 for them?
Yeah, I
Braylon
mean,
Mullins.
you got to ask yourself, maybe he needs to get a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I mean he looked pretty good last night.
6 for 12. You got to be impressed with that. Got to be very impressed with that.
And
Six for 12 is legit. That's legit crap right there. When you go 6 for 12, that's like Buddy Hield crap off the bench.
and the UConn's only loss being to Arizona at home. For that to happen, I think they're looking really good here.
You see what a couple of veteran players look like. I mean,
Yeah, you don't
got
have that. Caravan's a 4-year player there. It's like
a couple of guys stick around, and that makes a big difference. And it's something that you like to see. You see people sticking around. It does something. It's a good thing to see these guys stick around and maybe become he's like a glorified role player where he wasn't a great player before, but he's now a pretty good player for them. So Caravan is like I said, he was a regular role player, and now he's like their best player. And that's what used to happen in college. Guys like Chris Carrawell, who's on Duke's bench, was a great role player on a bunch of teams by his senior year. It was all ACC first team, and he's couldn't say enough about him. He was just a really good player, and but he made himself a good player, and that's what staying for 4 years allows you to do.
what do you make, Uncle Dave, of this Syracuse Tennessee game here and this Syracuse team? They're 5-3. There seems to be a little bit of a buzz going there that they can kind of maybe be a better than what they've been post Jim Boeheim.
Tennessee's in a weird spot though. They beat Houston, and then they shit the bed versus Kansas, who they're better than. And then they come out and they lose to Syracuse, who hasn't had a big win like that maybe in 3 or 4 years. But they have Carmelo Anthony's kid. They got a couple of good shot blockers. They got that length, and I have to say, Red Autry's coaching them hard. You watch that game. Red is always a very mellow assistant and a very mellow player, but he is really getting after it. He's coaching for his job because he really is. And you could see that they have some length, and in that building, length is a bitch because that's not the best place to shoot.
I think Coach Boeheim, kind of almost played, not that basketball has elements though, but the fact that the dome is such, like you've always talked about it, when you're shooting in a place that's that big, the environment, and you have long guys in a zone like there, it's hard to shoot in a building like that. So you just
There is.
you play the odds like that.
That's why Boeheim did that. He's always just had such length, and people would always scratch their head at some of the players he'd recruit, but then you'd look and you'd say, well, you play him at the top of that zone, it fit.
It's different it's different shooting at Cameron Indoor Stadium than it is at the Dome in Syracuse. It's way different.
It's like shooting outside when you're shooting at the Dome. There's no backdrop. So
Right.
if you're shooting into a sky, just don't forget, they only use a third of that dome. 2/3 of that dome is behind the curtain. You
Yeah.
don't see it.
Yeah, the depth perception is all off.
Yeah. And if for anybody who's listening, if you ever been to a game, never been to a game there, you should go. It's worth it. It's a great experience to go to a game there. It's just one of those places that you don't want to miss it. It's a great fucking place, and it really is. It's just it's fabulous. It's you don't want to miss it. You definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, I remember when we went up to Glen Falls with St. Anthony's, we went and saw them play Albany, and Jerry McNamara was on that team. That was pretty special.
Oh, yeah. Jerry McNamara. Yep, Jerry McNamara. That was some team. Back to Jimmy had some great success there. It's funny though. They wanted to get him out of there so bad, and since he's left, they haven't done a damn thing.
Oh, they have. They have. That's why it's kind of nice to see them have a nice win here.
Sure. Sure.
Maybe
Happy
get
for
that
them.
thing turned around.
I like Red Orchard. He was always a very classy player, good player at the Cuse. Just really good high school player, obviously. So it was always fun to see him play. So I'm happy to see that they gave it to a former player. I mean, whether it be a McNamara or a guy like that, it's good to keep the Cuse in the Cuse.
Absolutely, yeah. I gotta say, Uncle Dave, I was kind of surprised to see Rutgers keep the Purdue game, only losing by 16 there.
Yeah.
Purdue being number one in the country. The fact that they kept it, I think, that close, I think, is actually a testament to Rutgers here, because I think going
Well,
into the
Peichel is
that
one
could
of the
be
best
really
defensive
ugly.
coaches in the country. He's
Yeah,
got Jay
I
Young.
know you like Rutgers, yeah, with him.
Jay Young is might be the best defensive coach in the country. So he's got him back. And bottom line is they can keep it close. And don't forget, Rutgers in the last 3 or 4 years has plucked off a tons in that building.
Right,
I know teams were a little better those years, but Rutgers will always defend. So they're always going to keep it close. They run the program the right way. They're an intelligent team. Offensively, sometimes they can go through droughts, but Pikes knows how to get it done. He's going to be able to keep any game close. He's a master on that sideline.
and then the Kentucky and North Carolina game. With these type of games, Uncle Dave, at this point in the season. Are you, as a coach, are you still kind of experimenting with lineups, or are you kind of using this as, you're locked in and you've thought of that already before the season started and you got the first few games out of the way for that, or are you still doing that, you think, as a coach?
Well, there's three different ways to answer that because you're always looking for lineup changes, and then specific opponents make you always question your lineup. Even if you have a straight starting five, there's still a day or two where you go, you know what, this lineup might be better. And that's if you have maybe 7 or 8 deep. You can see that. Some tiers you have only 6 guys, you only have that choice. But there's always thinking about the lineups. The beauty of the games this time of year for Duke and Kentucky and Carolina and Alabama and Texas is that for the most part they know they're going to be able to qualify for the NCAA tournament, although Texas is off to a weird start. So you can go out and play these games. It's not going to cost you.
Right.
So whereas if you're a Seton Hall and you go out and you play these games, even though the Hall's off to a great start and coach has done an amazing job, I never thought they'd have this record right now because they don't
Great.
have the funds.
It's a great point you're making, actually. Yeah.
Gene Holloway. So for him to be able to go out, and it's the same thing in high school. So I don't know. We're here in Suffolk County, so obviously Deer Park is always in the playoffs. So Brentwood's always in the playoffs until last year. You can go out and schedule aggressively in the non-league and take shots to improve your team because you know that you're going to get in. Now you might say, well, what the hell does that have to do with it? If you play your non-leagues, it doesn't affect your playoff seeding. True, but it does affect your playoff seeding. So if I make the playoffs at 6-6 and I only go 2-2 in the non-league because I played a killer schedule, 8-8, I'm going to get screwed on a seed. And I'm going to have to play a juggernaut in the last place in the best seed of the tournament. So a team who knows they're going to be there, like a Duke or a Kentucky, they can be really aggressive this time of year. And I know the fan bases get stupid about it, but there's an interesting stat the other day. 9 of the last 10 champions were undefeated until Thanksgiving in the NCAA.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And that's an amazing stat. And so right now, if you look at that, I guess that's Michigan and that's Duke, and I don't know who else is undefeated. I think that's it. I mean, who else is undefeated? Is that it?
I think so. I think Seton Hall hasn't lost a game.
Seton Hall hasn't lost a game either. Maybe that's right. So out of the majors, you look at that. It's a scary thought. Obviously, there's some really good teams out
And
there.
Michigan State hasn't.
Michigan State either. So again, those are 3 teams that you wouldn't be so shocked if they're in the Final Four. So here we are. It's just one of those crazy stats that you don't think about until you hear it. And you look it up and you're like, wow, they're right. But at this time of year, you're definitely thinking about lineups. Like I said, unless it was with that St. Anthony's team that we were just talking about, we really had 6 healthy bodies at the end there. So we had to play those 6 guys.
Right.
So we couldn't even have the luxury of thinking about a lineup difference because we didn't have an option. But even right now, it's just talking to my assistant coach, and we're talking about different lineups and things of that nature, what's working, what's not working. And tonight in our scrimmage, we mixed up a ton of lineups. So it's one of those things. It's you always thinking about it as a coach. You never really stop thinking about your team. It's one of those illnesses that we all have. So it's but you're always thinking about for an edge somewhere. So your game plan dictates who you want to play in your lineup, and who you're playing obviously dictates your game plan. So some nights you could be more aggressive than others, and some nights you got to control tempo more than others, and other nights you got to push tempo more than others. So it's just think about it. Like you go play a team like I don't know, St. John's Prep that year. We beat them at the New York State Finals at Fordham. They had 10 bodies and we played fast. We won 96-92. That's what the best high school game I've ever seen in my life. Both
That was
teams played
incredible.
their
Yeah.
asses off. They were 24-1. They
Yeah,
were
they were
unbelievable.
incredible. Yeah, they were really good.
They
Yeah.
didn't really lose that game. They won it.
Yeah.
That game was such a high quality game. I've never seen anything like that in my life. We were just me and Mike are just talking on the side, like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
nobody made a mistake. I mean, we were
It felt
playing
like
good defense.
it felt like an NCAA tournament game, like that, like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, for a high school game in 2005 to be in the 90s while defense is being played,
Right.
that's incredible. I mean, just both teams. I mean, oh my God, you could put that film in there, and that's like a clinic on how to play basketball.
Even the first play of the game, there was a tip-off play that you
Yep.
guys ran there. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. When you got the big center, you always get that. You can always get the back screen for the tap. We ran it at Kings Park a lot with Coop too. You know you're going to win a tip most nights. There's a play you can run. Unfortunately, the plays you can run when you know you're not going to win the tap don't always work because not everybody will tap to the same spot. Whereas if you're the guy who's going to win the tap, you can control that. A lot of teams will generally tip to the player's right hand, strong side. Most guys are right-handed players, so they jump with their right hand, so you can try to steal it if you know you're not going to win the tap too many times. But yeah, the tap plays are always big. I mean, we got it probably 15 to 20 times at Kings Park that year. We didn't convert every layup, but I remember we had Mike McSloy set the back screen for Chewy, and we'd have Coop tap it ahead, and we'd hit Coop tap it to the other side, and Chewy'd get a layup.
Because no one's ready for a screen right off a ball like that.
Sure.
Not ready
And
for that.
it's just such a common
I mean,
sense play.
how many coaches are planning our jump ball defense? It's not a thing.
Sure. I mean, you know what? It's something that really works, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Coach DeGraw credit for that. Pops, he as soon as they got that job in July, we put that play in, and it's the first thing we talked about. Like we met one night in the parking lot for a summer league game, and we stood there and talked for 3 hours after the game because we just met. And he talked about that play. I said, "Yeah, whatever you want to do." I said, "You think you got something here? We'll put it in."
Right.
You know, you can't be a pig about it.
No,
Like
be open minded, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite principle of all time, Mr. McCaffrey. Always, he's my favorite quote of his is "No one of us is as smart as all of us," and
Yes.
that's a fact. That's a factual statement. It's not even an opinion. And so, if you got an assistant who's passionate about something, there's usually a reason they're passionate about it. They're good at it. So if they're lukewarm about something, I'm not going to hear them. But when they're passionate about something, there's a reason they believe in it. There's obviously something that they feel works. And so I don't know. I feel like he wanted to put that in, so we put it in. It worked. We got probably got 20 shots off of that, and what 20 games. I mean, like we didn't always convert because, and then again, the last game, freaking Peekskill had a big guy too, so it was tough to win that.
Yeah,
tap.
sometimes the ball gets deflected and popped out to the side.
And sometimes you go down, you miss the layup, but great basketball. Great basketball play in the tap. We haven't, when you have a big guy, that tap is such a luxury for you, and that makes a big difference. And people don't realize that because I haven't had a big guy in a while, and having a big guy win that tap play is really, really important because it's
no question.
Possession. I know the other team gets the next possession on the jump ball, but still, you start out 2-0.
It's something.
It can be really demoralizing.
You rather start out 2-0 than down 0-2, right?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
But I was listening to Chris Beard, Uncle David Ole Miss, and he basically
Chris Beard, one of my favorite defensive coaches.
He got asked this question basically. He's like, I could just play new guys. He's asking about his lineups and everything like that. He got a question about that, and that's basically what he said. He's like, I just can try different guys. So I think it depends on your record and everything because we're about almost 10 games into this thing now. So
sure.
Coaches, I think now are kind of looking to if you have your
you know that phrase. It's the bench is the best teacher. So that's what I think he's saying there. He's just saying it in a different way. And
right,
we all go through that a lot. Unfortunately, in the world today, I think we're all put back on our heels a little bit because we're afraid of losing the kid at that point because they're not as resilient today. But at the same point, you got to be like, well, then he isn't my guy. Then if I'm going to lose him over that. So you got to really be honest with yourself and say, well, we're going to be aggressive whether I lose him or not. It's not my problem. The kid's got to be ready to play and ready to accept accountability and responsibility and things of that nature. It's you have to do it.
Couldn't agree more.
You have to. The bench is the best teacher, and my team, we're going through that a little bit right now. Myself, there's guys who've think they're just going to start, but if you give me a dog shit effort, I'm sorry, I'm
You're
I
not
still
married to one system or one player or anything like that. It
enough
don't work.
change. This year, I run the system I never run in my life before. I'm still married to it. We didn't do a good job of it today. I got to give Shoreham credit. They didn't let us get out on the break as much. They were very physical with us today, and we just didn't respond to get out on the break in the first couple of scrimmages we had. So but we can't be married to the same guys. So if we're not gonna produce, then or if you don't seem properly motivated, we got to make adjustments.
Of course, yeah. Nope, you definitely the way you start out your season or you have success early on doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be a month from
Sure,
now or 2 months from now. Things change. You go through
sure,
ebbs and
sure,
flows
sure.
of
I mean,
life.
it's really quite scary, but you never know what you're going to get. And today's guy is a little bit harder to motivate, so it's definitely different.
Unbelievable. How about Minnesota tonight, Uncle Dave? Beating Indiana by 9 points here. The
It's a
Gophers
great win.
five
That
and
is a
four.
great win.
That's an
Minnesota
incredible.
hasn't had a win like that in a while
Yeah,
since Rick Pitino Jr. had a couple of good wins when he was there. He didn't do a great job there, but he did have a couple of nice wins, and
right,
that is a very good win. Indiana, I think, is a little overhyped, but they're Indiana, so they always get a little extra hype.
right.
But that is a big win for Minnesota. That's one where all of a sudden you put the Big Ten on notice, and you say to yourself, "Hey, see," and you get it's such an important win because it makes your kids believe. And I don't mean to criticize the kids, but they are less resilient now. I've watched it for 35 years, and so what
Yeah,
I
you
mean
have
by
a great
that is,
sample size.
so the fact that they're 1-0 now in the Big Ten, it automatically gets their attention. Whereas if you're 0-1, Minnesota struggled last couple of years, and all of a sudden you get to 0-1 or 0-2, and all of a sudden the kid's like, well, we're not going to make the tournament if we don't go at least 500 or better in the Big Ten. So this gets you to 1-0 in the Big Ten. I know it's only one game, but it already puts your guys, it makes the hair on your guys' arms stand up because all of a sudden they're believers. They don't believe as much as they used to either. So you can automatically get some belief out of them. And that's the beauty of it. Yeah,
And
they believe. They believe in it. They're a hard sell today. It's not the same.
yeah, no, it's not. You've like I said, you definitely are someone who's seen all sides of this here with
Yeah,
them
it's totally
going
different.
on 2 generations now. You've been
It's
in
totally
this.
different, and then they get it from the home because if you go told the kid this is what we're going to do, and nobody ever said why. Now it's like why because you can hear some sideline coach in the locker room somewhere at home in the kitchen just crushing it and so it's just your coach killing in the kitchen as I call it. It's very rough, and everybody today for some reason in the last 15 years all of a sudden thinks they know basketball, which
Right.
is quite ironic, but the way it goes.
We'll transition
Comes with the
away
job.
to our NBA news here, and Zion Williamson is hurt once again here, and
Oh, what a shock.
he's projected to, he's projected to be out for several weeks here. And
Yeah,
apparently, there are reports out now that the Pelicans are open to hearing trades for him, and we talked
we
about this.
called it. We
We
called
said
it.
we said you should have done this though before he gets hurt, though. That's the thing.
Yep, and we called it. And and right now a little Giannis talk going on there too. There's some rumors out there about
Yes,
Giannis.
yes,
If
yes.
I'm Milwaukee, I'm not getting rid of Giannis. But if I'm the Pelicans, the Knicks are itching right now. See, the Knicks know that like this might be their shot this year with all the injuries out there. But you know
Knicks
what?
fans are all over it. Yeah, they're saying you got to pull the plug.
Knicks fans and the Knicks might be dumb enough to take Zion because you could say, "Oh, I'll give him for Cat straight up."
No
I hate to
way.
say Cat's a better player right now.
No way.
Cat plays every night, and you could criticize Cat all you want. He's 22-10. So, and I know that
Plus,
NBA
Towns is a true center. Zion Williamson's not playing that spot.
exactly. And the bottom line is, I know they have Robinson, but Robinson's often hurt.
Yes,
But like the Knicks fans, they just New Yorkers are so built on hype. They'll go out there and protest if you don't get this damn guy. But you know what? The Pelicans will find a taker. People always believe in promise, and it's one of those things.
it's
It's
the what if you could sell them on the dream. Yep.
Yeah, well, it's the tease in sports, and even in politics, you see it. You got people who promise things during elections. Free groceries, free healthcare. There's no way you can deliver that, but nobody wants to hear that. They just want to hear what they want to hear. So it's the same thing everywhere in life. And yeah, the NBA. Elden Campbell died today.
Yes, I
Uh,
was going to bring that up. He had a
Elden
15-year
Campbell
career.
was
Incredible.
the thing about Elden Campbell. I always remember is he was in two very one series and one game that I'll always remember. He's in the Tate George game when Clemson is about to beat UConn and Tate George hits that shot in the corner with a second and a half left for a full length court pass from Scotty Burrell, who played for the Bulls, was also a major league pitching prospect. and Tate George hits that shot. Elden Campbell and Dale Davis were on that team for Coach Ellis, and that was the best Clemson team we'd seen until these Clemson teams in the last few years. That team, he was a big part of. Elden Campbell was a beast. Then he went to the Lakers and played with my man Magic Johnson,
Yeah, at
and
the
he
end of
was a very serviceable player for the Lakers. And I always remember that because Elden Campbell was in a couple of big spots in my basketball life and youth when I just started coaching. Then he was a big part of some of those Laker teams. Wasn't a great player, but a shot blocker and a physical specimen.
average double
Uh,
figures points wise for 10 of his 15 seasons. So he
that's
definitely
right.
was a guy who could really be, he
Yep.
was a really good role player, a good
Yep.
journeyman.
And today he would be a great center because he could really jump. He'd be a great lob catcher today, and he'd be a great rim protector. Back then, there was more about isolation for the centers. You wanted them to score more. He wasn't really that capable of doing that. He was a guy who'd get putbacks and stuff because he was a very good player. But today's NBA, he'd fit in perfect. If you put him with like a James Harden or somebody, he'd be catching lobs all night. So he would be he's a much better player than Rudy Gobert was, and yet Rudy Gobert will be remembered better because he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times, but
Right.
much better offensive player than Rudy ever was. And yet, Rudy will probably go to the Hall, and this guy won't. But at the same time, it depends a lot when you're in the league. And Eldon Campbell was a very good player. Yeah, that news and the Chris Paul news today were just strange news reports.
They sure were. And looking at Eldon Campbell, Uncle Dave, his college stats are incredible.
Yeah,
He averaged 3 blocks his sophomore, junior, and senior year.
yeah, and that's at the
That's
ACC
incredible. And he led
when the
the
ACC was the shit.
yeah, he led college basketball in block shots. He led it once in field goal percentage his sophomore year. And he was practically a double-double guy. He averaged 8 rebounds and 17 points for his last 3 seasons. So
And the funny thing about leaving college and blocks back then, you had Alonzo Mourning and Dikembe Mutombo in the
right,
league.
exactly. You had great centers back then, right?
And so, him and Davis and Horace Grant's brother, they all played at Clemson over the years. And Clemson, they had that game locked up. Scotty Burrell throws a 92-foot pass, and Tate George hits it in the right short corner and takes about a 16-footer and hits it. And then Leighton beats UConn 2 days later on that inbounds play. So it's
With Eldon Campbell, Uncle Dave, also, this is a nice footnote for him as well. He didn't have a major role in this team though, but he did win a championship in his last NBA season with the Detroit Pistons.
yes. Well, that
2005. He was on that team.
That team had so much defense. He could have played a role, but Ben Wallace was so freaking good.
Right.
It didn't even matter.
Right. Ben Wallace might have been the best. He actually might not have been. I think post defense wise, he was the best defender in the NBA at that time. No question.
Ben Wallace is a freak. He's
him and Jermaine O'Neal were incredible in the interior. But yeah, Eldon Campbell, and looking at the news of it, Uncle Dave, he went fishing, and he said his sister said he came back and he just passed away. I guess maybe guys that tall, not trying to alarm vertically gifted fellas here, but I think when you're that tall, you just sometimes are more prone to a heart failure or something like
sure.
that.
Well, you go up to the nursing home, you don't see tall guys up there, do you?
No, it's true. It's true. It's
You
true.
never see it. I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, that's why someone like Bill Russell was so
Amazing.
rare.
Yeah. That's the
Usually don't have guys that are close to 7 feet tall living that
Yeah.
long. It just doesn't
No.
happen. So, not trying to bring alarm to our tall friends here, Uncle Dave, but it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I'm not. I don't have to worry about that.
yeah.
There is
You're not worrying about that average height.
There is some weird stuff. A lot of the standings have flipped in the last 2 weeks in the NBA, except for the Thunder being 21-1. You can see that.
Yeah, we talked about them, Uncle Dave. I really thought kind of predict me and you thought this that they were going to kind of show that their last season was not a fluke and be pedal to the metal, and they're all business right now, 21-1.
Well, that shows you that SGA is a solid leader.
That's got to be a top 10 start in the NBA, right, Uncle Dave? That has to be.
It's got to be. I mean, 21-1, very impressive.
Yeah, that's got to be a top 10 start.
I would like to put a word to the warning, though, in that the pushing for the best record of all time is great and all, and it's the integral thing to do. But do you really need to do it? I just don't know. Do you really need to push for that? I'd rather win a title, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think when you start out the gate this good, I think it's going to creep into your mind. I think let's say 15 games from now they're 36-2 or something like that. I mean, then it starts to become a real possibility. I think when you have less than 5 losses and you're around Christmas time, I think it certainly is a possibility. And you know what, Uncle Dave, this team is so young too. They
Yeah,
might say, you know what, fuck it. We got the mojo and we got the motor for it. Let's go for it.
yeah. And the scary part is for them is they like you said they got these freaking draft picks. I
Oh
mean, good.
God. Uncle Dave, the Clippers, they might be committing a criminal act right here. They're the second worst record in the West right now with
Yeah,
5 wins. I
yep.
mean,
I'm looking
holy
right at
shit.
it.
I mean, the Thunder are going to wind up with the top 5 pick, and they could
Yep.
either use that for a player or they can trade that. I mean, the ability that Presti's going to have with that is going to be unbelievable because also, Uncle Dave, with the Clippers being the oldest team in NBA history right now, when it starts out this bad, I don't think over time it's going to get better here.
Right, and they're an older team, and those guys will bag it, or they'll trade off if they're
I knew,
smart.
yeah.
If they're smart, they'll look at their contract situation, and like James Harden is not the kind of guy you want to add to your team, but somebody would still do it.
And by
I
New
mean,
Year's, Kawhi's going to shut it down. I mean, that's
yeah, exactly. And so you just don't know, but like these guys always, the NBA more than any other league out of the pro leagues has guys that just play their way out of town on purpose.
right.
And so, you'll see. I mean, like, maybe a James Harden, I know you laugh, but maybe James Harden winds up on a team like the Mavericks because they don't have a guard. You just don't know.
Well, if you're the Clippers, Uncle Dave, I don't know. Like next year, like this is not going to be a better experiment right here. I think this was kind of like a one off here. You were going to see what this could do for you.
Sure,
But if I'm the
sure.
Clippers, honestly, I listen to trades for honestly everybody right now at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can get a bag of balls for, Kawhi, you do it. I mean, Jesus God, this guy is going to be hurt again. I mean, like,
Even if you give me draft capital at this point now, I think you just need a rid. I think this whole nucleus that
give
you
me
have.
anything. I'll take it.
Yeah.
You can give me a birthday card. I'm taking it. Like, whatever you got to do, because it's just ridiculous. I
Coming
take
into
it.
this season, Uncle Dave, I knew obviously it was a risk, but I thought the Clippers could be a team that could really kind of rock the Western Conference here and make some hay here and be potentially a dangerous
We
playoff.
talked about if they were a team that got in the 7 or the 6 spot, and you had to play them in a best of 5 in that first
Right.
round.
Right. With a healthy
Yeah.
Beal, Harden, and Leonard, but now that's total. Beal's out for the season. Kawhi's half interested in never playing, and Harden's only one guy, so it's just
Right.
it's not going to happen. It looks like here.
You feel bad for Harden in a way. I know he's a
I
hard guy
do
to root
actually. I really do. Honestly, I do.
out at it and see if he steps up because usually he gags it away. But I'd like to see him have a shot.
Yeah, I think at this point in his career, he's been even though you could criticize him certainly on his style of play and whether he's a winner as far as like a culture goes and everything. He's still a player that I want to see in the playoffs, though.
Oh
He's
God,
just a guy I certainly want to see when it
he
matters
is.
most.
I have to say, I'm not a fan of the way he plays, but he is one of the most unique players in history.
He is.
And I don't mean one of the best 20 in my mind or anything like that. But as
No,
far as unique about, he's very creative. The whole rip through thing where he jumps and flails his arms and got that call. He's the one who started that.
yeah,
Very creative player, just as Steve Nash started the dribbling behind the basket and hitting the dive man all the time. And you know, James Harden is a very rare player. You could watch another 20 years, and or 50 years, you're not going to see a James Harden.
no,
One, he dominates the ball more than anybody, which is why I don't love it. But at the same time, he is so freaking good. But I have to say, yeah, so such a rare play. But I've never seen a guy that good just disappear that much in a playoff. You'll see it once, like LeBron's first NBA Finals in the fourth quarter. He was awful every night. You can understand that. That's their first time. But this guy, every year, he just has 2 or 3 games where he just doesn't show up. And a guy that good, I just never seen anything like it. It's not like a guy who is a one-trick pony who is just a good jump shooter. This is a guy who can get to the line, record numbers of free throw attempts over his life some seasons. He's a good scorer, and some nights he just checks out, and it's just mind-boggling why he does it.
I looked at his playoff numbers. His averages are pretty similar, but it goes to what you're saying. It's kind of like in those game sevens that he's been in. It's just he's been really not good at all in those situations
Yeah,
with.
even against the Warriors, he's had a couple where you just go, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Like, how does he go in 2 for 13? Like, he's James Harden.
right,
He gets to
exactly.
the line
Yeah.
whenever he wants. James,
He's had
he is one of the most gifted offensive players you'll ever see in your life. And the guy, he doesn't look like he's in shape. He doesn't look like he's quick, but
he just
it's
gets to the bucket though. He gets you on his hip and it's over.
oh
He's
God,
efficient
he's a
every
study. He's a study in how to play one-on-one basketball. Like
absolutely.
if you made a video, you'd want young people to study for how to play one-on-one basketball, which you don't want them to study. But at the same time, one-on-one is a part of the game once you get a guy an advantage. But at the same time, he's such a freak Oh my God, this kid had a wide open shot for Clemson. Just threw it at the backboard and totally missed it. But the kid, like the man can just flat out score, and he's strong as a house.
He is, yeah.
Because at Arizona State, no one talked about James Harden.
No.
And I followed Arizona State then because Sendek was there, and Herb Sendek was one of my favorite coaches at NC State when he was there, and then he went out to Arizona, and just one of those guys, a great just a really really good coach, but it could never get it done in Arizona State. No one's gotten it done there. It's been a bugaboo.
That's a hard place to win at.
And it's weird because I don't want to be a jerk, but the admission standards is not a challenge. But at the same time, like for some reason, it's just nobody ever gets it done there. It's one of those places, and there are a lot of places like that. We have some that had great history, but Arizona State's never had great history. Whereas DePaul, at least you say, all right, they struggle, but DePaul had a 40-year stretch where they were unbelievable. So, it works in both ways. But Arizona State, where's the stretch? It just isn't like that. But yeah, the NBA really interesting right now.
It is. I think obviously if Antetokounmpo, if he gets dealt, that is the earth-shattering type of
They're the
situation.
11 seed right now, and that's what he's upset about. Early on, they got out like 6-2, and if you remember, we talked about they put so much shooting around him, but now it's just not working. They've fallen on hard times. They're the 11 seed. The Bulls have fallen on hard times. And I tell you right now, Coach of the Year is definitely Spoelstra or the Celtics coach. They're 12-9. The Celtics roster is a disgrace. I mean, it was intentionally a disgrace, and this guy's 12-9. I mean, I don't know how he's doing it. Cleveland's hanging in there. Orlando's getting hot. Orlando played well without Banchero, which is a little scary. The Knicks having trouble on the road, but they'll be fine. The Heat, 14-7. They got no business being 14-7. They didn't have Hero for most of the games.
Well, I think Spoelstra right now, he'd be my coach of the year because that roster is not in the first 21
Plus,
games. I thought if you told me what are the odds of them being 14-7 versus 7-14, I would have put 99% odds, 7-14.
It's disgraceful how that roster is disgusting, and this guy's winning games.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Unbelievable.
And then he'll get bounced in the first round with an overachieving team, and people say, "Oh, it's time to move on from Eric Spoelstra." You know how that goes.
Well, it's like that Belichick shit, where Belichick a couple of years or Mike Krzyzewski would have teams that with Paulus as point guard, you go 27-5 and you lose in the second round, and people bitch me. Well, Greg Paulus running the point. Nothing against Greg Paulus.
Right, and then you have no JJ Redick, and you have Josh McRoberts and Martinez Pocious. You know what I mean? So
you have no great athletes on the floor in basketball.
Yeah, Duke went through a little bit of a dry period there, recruiting wise.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did, and that's when really John Shire started to do all the recruiting. After that, John Shire was the reason for all those players. Down the stretch of Coach K's career, John Shire got all those guys. He's just one of those.
Coach K, the McRoberts and the DeMarcus Nelson and Josh McRoberts, Greg Paulus era. I think he was trying to do that, but then it came to the next level of guys that came after that. It turned out to be that type of group that he wanted to be. That was then John Shire, Lance Thomas, Zubek. Those guys wound up molding out, I think, his vision. But the guys 3 or 4 years before that, though, was definitely not it for sure.
Yeah, well, the thing too is, you get a situation like that where you overachieve, but people just see the name and they just think you're automatically going to win. And Bill Parcells used to always have a great quote. The other team's trying to win too, and it's every night you just don't get what you want. It's not a diner, and so DeMarcus Nelson was a 3,000 point scorer in high school, so I understood his pick. But he was like a 6'4.5" guy, a great athlete. McRoberts, if he would have stayed a little longer, I think could have helped us. But their guards were just too slow back then, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't have a JJ Redick then to round it out too on the wings.
Right, so. And even with a Redick, you need a guy to go with a Redick, a guy who can get his own shot. That's not JJ Redick. You need a guy that
you had Redick with those years that they were competing in the title game. You had Chris Duhon, you had Daniel Ewing.
Yeah, when the shit breaks down, you need a guy to make a play. Because right now, you can sit there and talk about your sets all you want. Your sets eventually don't do shit.
Right, you need a guy sometimes late in the shot clock to go get you a bucket or draw a foul.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. But you know what? People, they don't want to hear that.
No, they don't.
But the NBA right now,
who's scary to me, Uncle Dave, right now is the Lakers.
Oh, well, we talked about this, though. They're going to win 55 games, but I think they're going to suck in the postseason. I told you this.
Oh, boy. I don't know.
We talked about this. I'm telling you, who are they guarding in the postseason now? We talk about this all the time. The NBA now is totally a playoff league. The regular season has almost become meaningless because everybody's resting everybody. And the other thing is, you can adjust in a 7-game series like you wouldn't believe. Whereas on a night to night basis, again, say the Rockets are flying into town, you're going to play. You got it in on a Tuesday night. You're playing on Thursday after. You're playing on Sunday afternoon. You got it on a Friday night. You don't have time to make all the necessary adjustments. You have walkthroughs. You have shoot arounds. You give each player his film breakdown for his assignment and stuff like that. How seriously those guys are taking that, I have no idea. But in a 7-game series, man, you find holes, and this is where Redick will be exposed. Right now, they just run up and down. They're 15-5. Luka's going to be able to do anything he wants, and so is Reeves, but neither of them can guard me. And that's going to be a problem in the playoffs.
No, the playoffs, like you said, the whistle ends the game and the pace, everything changes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great because it's good for the NBA to have the Lakers good. Those beautiful purple and gold uniforms are one of my favorites, and I love them to death. But at the same time, you got 3 guys who can't defend. You're going to need Marcus Smart, can't cover everybody. I will say their roster, I thought for the last couple of years has been good. This year, it's good again. I still think they're, I like the big kid, the big kid, and DeAndre Ayton. I thought he always got a raw deal. I thought he was one of those guys that got blamed for shit he never did. But I still think a Rockets team is better in the long run if they could get a point guard. I think the Spurs by then will be seasoned enough to do it. I think the Nugs are better. I think the T-Wolves are just bored right now, and their defense will carry them. I still don't want to see the Warriors, even though they suck. They're 11-11. The Grizzlies aren't really a threat because Psycho Boy's running the team. The Jailblazers aren't a threat, but there's just still some teams better than them in that league. The team I'm fascinated by, again, we predicted this. Toronto's good, 15-7. And Detroit Pistons are 17-4. Great to see that.
Detroit, incredible.
If I'm Detroit, I got to add one more score at the deadline. Detroit needs a bucket. Who's getting the rock?
You think Cunningham? That's just not enough there. He needs someone else.
I think he's a pass first guy.
Right.
He's like my man Magic. They need a bucket. Who we getting? Like that's my point. And I love Cunningham. He's one of my favorite players. He just plays. But I love Coach also. But the thing is, who's getting me a bucket? And I know that Cade can create. But at the same time, you need a guy like a DeMar DeRozan who can come in there and go, all right, fuckface, I'm getting you an 18-footer right.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think the Kings are looking to deal Zach LaVine, I think, and potentially if they're looking to deal him, then probably DeRozan too. And they're not competing.
Hey, so. I know Zach LaVine's a sexier player, but DeMar DeRozan's a walking bucket.
I agree. If I'm Detroit, that's why I would like. Yeah.
Go get me DeMar DeRozan. Or, again, this could be too radical. I mean, Harden might wreck your team, but he's a fucking walking bucket.
Right.
But then again, he can't guard me. So I don't know.
I think it's a risk. I think it's a risk worth taking. I think any of those options we talked about for them.
Yeah, but as long as you're not giving away the store, I don't think you'd have to give away a lot for DeMar DeRozan. I love DeMar DeRozan. He's such
you got to be careful with the players you give up, and I would easily give up any of the draft capital you want to.
Well, I think though that these teams want to get out from under these contracts, so I think that maybe you could get them for a decent amount.
Right
now, if you gave them your first round pick for this year, it's not going to be that high anyway. If you're Detroit, because you're going to be picking fourth to last in the first round probably. Yeah. So that's not a bad deal. If you can even give them 2 years of first round picks, that's not going to kill you.
Yeah, you don't care about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're Sacramento and you want to hold out for picks,
your best player is not even 25 yet. So yeah, you don't care.
Exactly. So yeah, so hold out for picks all you want, bro. I'm not doing it. So the thing is you can hold out for picks, but I'm getting DeMar DeRozan, who I think, again, he's to me he's a better version of Alex English, who's a Hall of Famer. He's better off the dribble than Alex. Alex had a sweeter jumper. But you know what? This guy, he's a scorer. I mean, if you isolate him, you get him on a curl, he's putting it in the basket. So in the playoffs, you get Cade delivering the ball to him. It's going to work. And then they got Duran underneath, who's one of my favorite big guys in the league this year. He would be a 4-man back in the NBA in the old days, but he is a savage. He's just built like a brick shithouse. He's strong. He rebounds. He's just tough. Just love him as a player. So really, really, really excited about him.
But you see Duncan Robinson is their 4th leading scorer here. So seeing him, that was a nice addition for them.
And he could really stick it. But again, he needs help.
Right. He's only getting his shots in the rhythm of the offense. He's not creating anything.
And I'm not saying that running set plays is bad because we saw the Spurs back in 2014 really put on a clinic of what passing looks like. But don't get yourself fooled, because Ginobili could get yourself a bucket if the play broke down, and so could
Right.
Tim Duncan, and so could Tony Parker. So let's not get stupid here. And Kawhi Leonard, you had four guys who could get you a bucket. Now they move the ball as pretty as any team you'll ever see. Maybe the '77 Trailblazers, who were great passing, or those old Knicks teams in the '70s, but they really passed the ball well. But they still had guys who could get it for you. And if you don't have one of those guys, it's going to cost you somewhere.
Who's really impressed me for them is Jalen Duren. I can't believe how good he is right now. He's
Oh, that's the thing. Jalen Duren is a freaking savage. I love this
yeah,
guy.
22 and he's
He's
averaging 20 in the NBA right now.
he's a
Unbelievable.
beast. And you know what? His skill level in college was very limited, and now
Yeah.
he's the
Some
savage.
guys we talked about it. Some guys in the NBA, their game just translates better. And
Well,
other guys
don't
more college
forget,
guys.
you can't cover for his body. In college, you could stack bodies on him.
Yeah.
In the NBA, you can't play that kind of defense.
Right.
You zone. You're not allowed to stay in that zone the
No,
whole time.
exactly. Exactly. So there's more freedom than if you're a post player, honestly.
Yes, I mean, like when he leans on you, and we've talked about this many times. The NBA big guys today weigh about a buck 05. This guy leans into you. You're moving.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Well, rebound the game too.
this guy's built like an old time four man, like a Karl
Yeah.
Malone back in the old days. He's
Right.
built like Antoine Carr, a Karl Malone. He's built like those guys, and Ben Wallace. He's built like they were, and those guys hit you. You're moving. I don't give a
Right.
shit who you are. You're going to go for a ride when they hit you. And this kid is a beast. Plus, the part of him that's under, he really has some vertical on him.
He does,
really got
yeah.
a great vertical. Really has a great vertical. I tell you, he is so impressive. But
No,
again,
he's a true
Coach
center in today's NBA for sure.
and Coach Bickerstaff has done a great job. Coach Bickerstaff got hosed in Cleveland. I'm happy though because they got Kenny Atkinson, my man.
Right.
But Coach Bickerstaff is the shit. Love him.
And what's going to be good for them is you have Isaiah Stewart to back him up, so you have a solid backup center.
Yes.
Like Harris, LeVert off the bench. So yeah, the Pistons,
Yes.
I think, like you said, they're just maybe missing a little more punch, I think, from
Yeah.
scoring. But if they were able to maybe pick up someone, like you said, free agency or a trade, there might be something
Sure.
really there that's special for them this season. But
That'd be great to see because you know what they have something going on there.
yeah,
But I just don't want to see them break the chemistry. So if you want to give up draft picks, I'm all for it. But I'm not letting anybody go from that team. That team.
what's the shocker for me, Uncle David? I know you loved them going into the season. Is Toronto at 15 and
Oh, I
7?
love them. I tell you, you got that front court. You got Barrett, you
Holy
got Barnes,
shit.
and you got Ingram. If you could just get me some guards,
Yeah.
anything is possible.
That's unbelievable. Well, you know what? Someone like CJ McCollum who's rotting away on the Wizards right now. Maybe grab him.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Washington, I mean, any good player there is. Come on, what are we doing here now?
It's funny because if you look at the talent on that team there, they
You have a
some,
Chris Middleton, yeah. You
there's some guys
have some players.
that are playing, playing well. Just some guys that are just doing a good job. So let's look at their statistics here as I'm pulling it up. Ingram, I always thought was a very good player. Colin Murray Boyles is having a good year. His shooting percentage is 53%. He's not doing bad. Grady Dick is finally coming to his own. His unfortunate name. He's recovered. Emmanuel Quickly has been very solid for them, playing 32 minutes a night. That's huge. He was a very good guard for the Knicks. People might forget that. Jakob Poeltl has always been good. And they got Jamal Shed, who's playing great defense from Houston, who could guard anybody. And they're playing good basketball. The kid Mogbo is good off the bench. I mean, like I said, RJ Barrett has a little bit of an injury, but Scotty Barnes is a player. So they're doing a great job. I mean, what can we say? They're playing good basketball. 20 points a game for Scotty, 19 for RJ, and 21 for Ingram. That's three guys averaging 20. You're going to win with that.
I mean, I can't believe I think the start that they've gotten out to. I thought they would be a pretty decent team, like around 500, but I didn't see like the Heat 15 and 7 start. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so excited for them. You see, Knippel's playing well for the Hornets, and so Zion James.
He's having a great season, Knippel. Now I know Charlotte's not winning a lot of games right now. They only have 4 wins, but I think it's incredibly promising that he's playing as well as he is. My goodness.
The thing that's hurting Charlotte is from the LaMelo Ball's not the same player. It's so sad.
Yeah, you kind of have like a mini Patrick Ewing situation, right? Not saying that LaMelo Ball is Patrick Ewing, but you have him kind of not healthy right now, and who knows what's going on there. And you have Knippel, who's really playing great.
It's funny though.
Like Miles Bridges too, but I don't know.
Right. Bridges is playing well. Cole Crun is playing great. Cole Brenner from Creighton is playing amazing.
Yeah.
And then you got Colin Sexton is still there. You got Kneppel. I mean, there's some good players there. They just got, and got a guy like Pat Connaughton off the bench. There's some players there. They got the rookie McNeely out of Connecticut and Brandon Miller. Let's not forget him. So there's
Yeah,
talent
he's only
there.
played 6 games, Brandon Miller. So you
Yeah,
have
so
to
that's
take
your head
stats
case.
at him.
But there's something there. You can see it. So it's just a matter of, maybe somebody maybe they just mature because they are very young. There's something there for them. You can see that the Hornets have something, but I just don't know if the coach they'll be patient enough to wait for the coach. You know how it gets. The
What's
coach never gets to be waited for.
What's insane about this, Uncle Dave, LaMelo Ball is only 24 years old. So it's not like you have a guy who's 32.
What's the injury? It's the knee, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
his whole family has had the knee injury thing. Lonzo Ball has had that, the ankle. It just seems like the lower extremities that's been plaguing them.
Oh my God, it feels so bad. And Alonzo, I thought would help Cleveland more defensively. It hasn't yet. Cleveland has not hit their stride. I think it might be better off for Cleveland though to this year maybe hit their stride in the second half
Well, remember
because
last year they got out to a great start last season.
it puts
Like,
too much pressure on you. No one ever talks about that, and especially in the world today with all the social media. The pressure is even greater because people just overhype you. It's all read about is how wonderful you are. It's
right.
hard to work and stay humble, but maybe Cleveland would be better off having a great last 20 games than the first 60 games, and like they did last year. And so I think that Kenny will keep them. Kenny will keep them on par. I'm watching them, and I'm always rooting for them. But they have enough pieces. I think they just got to get some stuff out of. I think Allen and Coutinho, Mobley, Mobley, the big fella, Mobley are the keys.
I will say this about the Houston Rockets. I think they're kind of they're right where they need to be at 13-5 right now.
Oh
They
yeah,
are another
they
team. Maybe you consider picking up Chris Paul now at this point. He's had a
yeah,
relationship with Kevin Durant, so I think that would make sense. I think play with them with USA Basketball all those years. I
sure,
think that would be a gamble worth taking right now. You get him for nothing. So we talked
sure,
about Mavericks in Houston. I think those would be some good situations for him.
sure. I mean, they got so much depth there. You got Finney Smith. You got the big boy there from Australia. You got there's some good. There's some just good. That's good. And then Thompson's a good player. I mean, it's just some good players on his team. Clint Capella's on their bench sitting there somewhere. Shangoon is one of the best, most improved players in the NBA. So yeah, and Reed Shepard can shoot it. They just need a point guard. If you can say to Chris Paul, can you give me 20 minutes a night?
Right.
Yeah, can you give me 25 a night? Maybe in the playoffs, you give
Yeah,
me
this is
30.
your last season. This is it. There's no tomorrow.
And I you know me, I don't love Chris Paul, but I would love to see him go to a contender because then I would root for him a little bit.
Right.
And I am a fan of Udoka, so I would like to see the Rockets do well. Udoka is one of my favorite coaches. The Celtics hosed him, or else he'd have 2 titles by now. So, just my opinion, but I thought the Celtics hosed him over.
Plus, it'd be a return, Uncle Dave, for him to Houston. He was a Rocket before at one point, Chris Paul.
Yes,
So,
he was, and I tell you, I'd love to see him go to either the Mavs or the Rockets.
yeah, I think both of those are great situations for him, no
The
question.
other team that's surprising me is the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is 13-9. It's not that they're the 7 seed, but to me, being four
I know
games
you
over.
liked them coming into the season. You thought they would be pretty decent, that they wouldn't
But
be a
you know what?
bottom.
I
Yeah,
didn't think they'd be 4 games over. I thought they'd be 500. You said, what's the difference? 4 games over is a lot better than
it
500. I
is.
mean,
It is.
Brian Dunn is. They got some great role players, and I have to give Booker some credit here. It seems like Dylan Brooks has made some headway. Grayson Allen is obviously a tough guy. They've got some size with Malawach and Mark Williams, so it's a situation where I'm really impressed with them as far as just what they're doing. I didn't think they'd be 13-9 in the West. I mean, Colin Gillespie is really the key right now. 13 points a game for Colin Gillespie. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Booker with 25. Dylan Brooks averaging 22 points a night. Dylan Brooks can't score in the gym by himself. How's he doing that?
Well, Gilbert Arenas talked about on his show. He said whoever he worked on with the offseason on his offensive scoring ability, he says deserves a hug and a raise because he's certainly a more dynamic offensive player now this season.
Grayson Allen averaging 17 and Green averaging 16. So here you have 5 guys averaging double figures. That's a formula for success. And
Plus,
then you
there
got
was no
Mark.
expectations coming into this season. No one expected Phoenix to be anything.
And here's the other thing: Royce O'Neal, 11 points a game. Mark Williams, who to me is one of the most unsung potential great players in the NBA
Yeah,
coming
the
through.
Lakers tried to get him last year. Yeah.
Mark Williams, if he stays healthy, 12.9 a game. And Mark Williams is one of the better defenders you'll ever see. I don't think he's as good as Lively, but Mark Williams is a freaking savage defender. And so this team has a lot of interesting parts. Again, it's made a lot like there's a lot of teams out there that are built like OKC was, where you have that one great player and you have a couple of other good players. You have a lot of parts, and so then you got to figure out what style you play. But you can see Phoenix very impressive to them to be 13-9. And the other team I wanted to follow, who's now fallen, they're the 11 seed, is the Utah Jazz. The Jazz, you see that Ace Bailey is starting to pick it up. He's starting to play well, and Filipowski is no longer in the starting lineup. He kind of like gave his spot away. But let's look at the Jazz here for a second.
But George is a really incredible player for them, and Markkanen as well. I mean, they're
Sure.
really talented. I mean, they could score. Those guys.
Yeah, well, Ace Bailey's all of a sudden averaging 10 a game, which is pretty damn good after what he started as. And you
And
got
they beat the Rockets the other night, the Jazz.
Deontay George with 23 a night is
Yeah,
just shocking.
he's
Marking him with 28. I can't believe the Bulls let that son of a bitch walk.
yeah, that's not looking good right now.
Walker Kessler was having a good year and gets hurt. Walter
And that's the
Clayton,
other thing. If he wasn't hurt for the season now, Kessler,
yeah,
imagine that now. They would be close
yeah.
to 500 maybe potentially.
Yeah, well, they're playing well, and Flip is averaging 8.7. He's only shooting 44%, which is not going to get it. Kevin Love is giving him some minutes off the bench, which is nice. Nurkic is giving him 8.5 a game. So they have some good pieces. They need some help in the backcourt, but Ace Bailey is starting to pick it up a little bit. So he's shooting 36% from three, Ace. So, but again, a great one-on-one player. He can get you that bucket we've talked about.
Yeah, he certainly can. I
He's
think
one of those guys.
I think the Jazz we talked about, Uncle Dave, it's just about them this season, just building some camaraderie and chemistry and just seeing what you have and just get better. That's it. Just focus on getting better. That's all you got to focus on right now.
Sure. I mean,
And
the teams that are dying, I mean, I know the Warriors will always have a shot as long as Steph is around.
the Warriors, yeah, they're 500.
That's
Yeah.
really the team that's really dying and also needs to make a move is the Memphis Grizzlies. You need to ship the son of a bitch out of there because you're not going to get any more out of him than you're already getting. Got to move him out of there.
I feel about him like how I feel about Zion. I think you just got to deal him and just see what you can get for him and just change it up.
This kid's a head case. He's a bad dude. You got to get him out.
Yeah,
it's just time. You got to.
I don't think he's a guy you can depend on and build a franchise around. There's no way.
And you got to build your franchise around Jackson. He's the real deal. He's one of the most rare players I've seen in my lifetime watching basketball.
Plus Morant, you could fleece him for some. You could fleece somebody for him, no question.
Yeah, well, in Jackson, think about this guy. This guy's 6'9" shot blocker. Now he's added threes to his game. This kid he's really amazing. He's a hybrid because when he came in the league, he was like 6'7.5", and he had to play like the post because he had no offensive game. And now he's this guy who does everything. He's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion, but he'll never get those kind of stats. He's what Marvin Williams should have been. You remember Marvin Williams?
Yeah, from North Carolina. He played for the Hawks.
That's what Marvin Williams should have been.
Yeah, Marvin Williams is a solid NBA player.
He's solid, but this kid's a fucking beast. I mean, Marvin Williams.
Well, Marvin Williams was not as physically strong as this guy. There's no way.
Well, Marvin was so skilled when he came out of college. This kid's worked his ass off.
Marvin Williams, people thought he could be like a Paul George type of player. That he was going to.
Marvin Williams out of college. I'm sitting there going, you know what? This kid could really do it.
Yeah, Jared Jackson is someone who's like a bodyguard type of player. He can do good down low, and he can shoot it out.
Oh, such a great athlete too. Oh my god. And then the other guy who's having a great year is the kid Johnson from Duke for the Hawks. This kid's coming into his own, even though I hated the coward for not playing basketball at Duke. I mean, I want to rest. People forget about that. He was on Duke, played like 8 games and stopped. But this kid is talented as hell. I mean, he's really having a good year for the Hawks. And, he's made them he's given them some youth, and the Hawks, maybe energize Trey a little bit there, and because Trey can get bored. He'll have a night where he shoots like 38%, and he's chucking up 45 shots. But this kid's a player, and Trey's having a solid year, not a great year, but I think I know it sounds crazy, but Jalen Johnson's averaging 23 a game. Joe Kristoff's has only played 12 games, but is averaging 18. So if I got to move on from I don't know. Can you move on from Trey? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks have a little bit of a lane this year now, more than ever, because Indiana and Boston are probably not. Boston certainly will make the playoffs, I think, but they're not going to be a huge factor. Obviously, if you had Tatum, that changes the whole landscape. Indiana's out of the mix. So if you're the Hawks, there really is a lane for you here to maybe make a run in the playoffs when that time
Sure.
comes.
Well, and
So,
also
and if you're Trey Young, it's now or never at this point
Alexander
in
Walker
Atlanta at least.
here. Alexander Walker averaging 20 a game. That's just absurd.
Yeah,
My man Luke Kennard getting it done there, getting a 7 a game. One of my favorite Dukies. Love Luke. He's one of my dudes. He's one of my favorite Duke players. Thought he was very underrated. I think the NBA they used him the wrong way a lot of times. Has one of the best pivots I've ever seen. His pivot foot, he knows how to use it as good as anybody. Good passer, good shooter, lefty. Love Luke Kennard.
yeah. I saw him walking around in the city of Boston when I was at Emerson. He was on the Pistons. Obviously, were coming in for a road trip and to play the Celtics, and saw him walking by on the street. So that was pretty cool.
He's on one of those Duke teams that could have won. It was him and Tatum were on that team.
They won the ACC tournament that year, but yeah, they didn't win
Well,
against.
then they lost to South Carolina. They had
Yeah,
to play the game in South Carolina, which was bullshit because they moved it out of Charlotte, which wasn't right.
right.
And they lost into the kid, one of those players who has a great Sweet 16 game or a Final Four game, Thurlgood. And where the hell is he now?
Yeah, Derek Williams, one of those kind of
Yeah,
games. Yeah,
yeah, one of those games. So Thurl, what's it called? Thurlgood or Thurlkill, whatever his name is, Daryl Thurlkill. He had a great game, but he's nowhere to be found in the NBA. But
right.
and Jason Tatum that year, I believe, was taken third or second or something like that. I forget who was taken first. But obviously Tatum was the right pick for the Celts.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good for them, huh?
Oh God, yeah, I love. I tell you, Tatum. I've never seen a more underappreciated player than Tatum, and I mean that from like a superstar sense. I mean, I know we have guys that are underrated and all, but he gets more grief than any superstar I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. I mean, I know I don't consider Cat his level, so I guess we
No.
could say Cat. But this guy is an NBA champ. He's one of the best 5 players in the league, and he just gets incredible grief because he moved the ball and helped his team win an NBA title. Just ridiculous.
Plus, I don't have to worry about him going to the club and shooting off a gun or anything like that. He's not that type
Well,
of guy.
no, his upbringing was legendarily, right. That's what we could say.
Married with kids already, you like to see that.
Yeah, so he's a guy that just gets so much crap and pisses me off because like I'm not a Celtic fan by any means. As a old Laker fan when Magic was there, but for me, like the evaluation of basketball players today from the people who follow the game is just the dumbest level I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
All anybody says is how many rings you got. Well, dickhead, Mike kept about 30 guys from getting a goddamn ring, so that
right.
doesn't mean you're not a great player.
I know.
And it's like Charles Barkley is he's the only guy that really outplayed Michael in the finals. If you look at Barkley's numbers in those finals with the Suns, he outplayed Mike for most of those games.
Plus, you
And,
also said that Cedric Sabalos, if you have him in that series, that maybe
oh
changes
yeah, that's
the
going
whole
out
series.
with him.
Yeah,
And Charles made a couple of mistakes in that series, and then they broke that team up, and Thunder Dan fell in love with shooting Jays instead of defending. KJ hurt his back, or that team would have been back. They would have been back for another run. And that team was legit. They just didn't keep it together. It's bad. The GMs make bad moves all the time. Sometimes you just need to let your team grow another year and see if it gets better. But GMs don't do that anymore.
no, they pull the plug sometimes too quickly. Yep.
Oh God, well, that's what I'm so glad about the Cavs, and I want to see the Cavs have success because they've done it the right way. They have been patient. They've kept Jared Allen and Mobley together, and they've kept the two big guards together. And I want to see them do that because you can win with guys like that. You don't have to, rush everything. Everything is such a I wanted it yesterday league we're in now. I'm just so tired of that. And it's one of those situations where you can see it. Like there's talent, and the Cavs have waited and waited and waited. And I hope that Ball gets his defensive stones back because he was a very good defender at one time. I think he could help them.
I just got to say this that the Nuggets right now look very good, and Jokic is definitely MVP form right now, averaging
Yeah.
29, 13, and 11.
Cooper and the boys beat him the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was shocking. Well, Anthony Davis was back. Anthony Davis looked like the old Anthony Davis. Anthony dropped like 22 and 15. I was like, oh, so he's one of those guys. Yeah, I love the Nugs. They got to stay healthy. I know they're missing.
Seven guys in double figures right now. I like
Yeah,
Tim Hardaway Jr.'s role on this team.
yeah, Gordon was a little injured. Gordon's a big time
Yeah, he's
player.
missed some. Yep, yep. And Braun.
They got to stay above water and stay in that 2 or 3 seed. I'd like to see them stay there. Right now they're the 4. I'd like to see them stick in that 2 or 3 seed. But I tell you what, OKC does not want to see Denver at the 4 seed.
No,
because that's the second round of the playoffs. You
No.
don't want to see that shit.
And they very well could be in that spot. That's the funny thing.
Exactly. They're four right now.
You know,
And I,
they could finish behind, let's say, like the Lakers.
yeah,
They
they
could
will.
finish
Lakers
behind
will
the
win.
Rockets, maybe the
And
Spurs
Houston,
even.
yeah, and Houston will. I'm waiting for the Spurs to really take off. The Spurs are going to have like a 15 game clip where they don't lose.
Right.
Because wait till De'Aaron Fox gets ready in that whole situation there. De'Aaron Fox is another level defender, and you're gonna have him and Castle out there guarding in the backcourt. That is going to be insane. That might be one of the best defensive backcourts you'll ever see in your life when that happens. So that's going to be wild. And then you got the big fella. If he could just stay healthy, and if they could just make a couple of shots, anything can happen with that team.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they're gonna be legit. They just need a couple of again. I know this sounds awful. They might need a DeMar DeRozan to get a bucket. De'Aaron Fox can do that, but you want him setting up. So you need, maybe they know good a guy. Go get that scorer. DeMar DeRozan could see. This is what you weren't alive in the '80s, but this is what the '80s Lakers would do. But then again, their GM was Jerry West. Jerry West understood this crap better than anybody. That's why he's the man. That's why he's the logo. So he would go out and figure out, and the Lakers would be in first place for like 10 years straight, and he'd go out and add something. But he never gave up anything. So he went out and he added like Michael Thompson, who's Clay's dad, for all of those of you who don't know out there. He was one of the first players picked in the draft at the University of Minnesota. And then he went out and added Bob McAdoo, a three-time scoring champ, to the '82 Lakers. Bob McAdoo averaged 26 a game like three times. But Bob McAdoo could trail on the break when Kareem needed a blow, and he would hit the damn shot because
Yeah.
Magic would find him.
It was
So
like when
Bob
the Celtics in '86 when they got Bill Walton on that
Yeah,
team.
so like the good GM understands that, and they didn't give up a damn thing. And then but then Jerry West also gambled on draft picks. He got rid of Norm Nixon for Byron Scott. I mean, that's a hell of a ballsy move. Norm Nixon, if you look him up, is a hell of a player.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And then he goes against Byron Scott and he plugs the rookie in, but he's a great athlete. He's 6'4.5". He's the smallest guy on the Lakers at 6'4.5". And then he goes out and gets AC Green too. So he plugs in two rookies 2 years in a row, starting for the Lakers on a championship level team. Nobody would do that today. And neither of those guys were like all Americans. AC Green and Byron Scott in college were good players. They weren't Christian Laettner or Shaq. All right. So for them to go out and make these guys starters and then push other guys to the bench to make a bench, this is how smart him and Pat Riley were together.
That's why Jerry West's a Hall of Famer as a GM.
Oh, stud. Stud. He's a better GM. He's such a great player. He might even be a better GM. He's a freak.
Everyone,
Yeah.
live long and prosper. May the force be with you. All right. Till next time. Take care.
Yes, sir.